Pew survey proves India is managing its rise far better than China. Ahead of the G20 summit next week in New Delhi, a major new survey released by Pew Research Center Tuesday on India's global influence has thrown up some interesting data. Before we cut to the chase, it is worth pointing out that statistics sometimes hide more than it reveals, and this cliché is perhaps truer when applied to a metric that seeks to map India's rise. The reason is simple. As an emerging power, India still lacks the wherewithal to shape global narratives. Its remarkable rise is interpreted, and the discourse around it is determined largely through a warped, liberal lens that suffers from cultural bias, institutional hatred, and otherization of Hindus. The liberal otherization project infantilizes, marginalizes, and denigrates Hindus, and interprets a post-colonial society's nationalistic expression through the prism of European nationalism, drawing sinister conclusions. Understanding this paradigm is crucial to figure out what data tells us about India. According to Pew, the survey was conducted between the 20th of February and the 22nd of May 2023, drawing on responses from 30,861 adults in 24 countries, including India. For this study, Pew conducted face-to-face interviews of 2,611 Indian adults from the 25th of March to the 11th of May, and the sample is weighted to be representative of the Indian adult population by gender, age, education, region, urbanicity, and other categories. The survey makes two major points among many interesting subsets. 1. It finds that global view of India remains largely positive, with many of the 23 countries surveyed reporting a relatively favorable view. With India slated to host more than 25 global leaders including US President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping from the 9th of September, the study finds that 46% respondents on an average say they have a favorable view of India, compared with a median of 34% with an unfavorable view. In some nations, substantial number of people surveyed do not share an opinion on India, a median of 16%. The second major conclusion drawn by Pew is that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's popularity remains as high as ever, with as many as 8 in 10 Indians holding a favorable view of the Prime Minister, including 55% who have a very favorable view. That is an incredible level of popularity even after 9 years at the helm. Going by the results of this survey, at 79%, Modi remains the hands-on favorite for a third prime ministerial term in the upcoming elections in 2024, with only a fifth holding an unfavorable opinion. Coinciding with Modi's leadership, who has been in power since 2014, the survey also finds that the majority of Indians think the country's global influence has strengthened in recent years. About 7 in 10 Indians, or 68%, feel that India's geopolitical and geoeconomic clout is on the rise, though this isn't a view shared across the board in other nations, where a median of 28% said India's influence was getting stronger, while 13% said it was getting weaker among 19 countries surveyed in 2022. However, even though the majority of foreign nations do not share the optimism of Indians when it comes to India's rising clout, 48% say India's influence has remained the same, with only 13% saying India has gotten weaker under Modi, a statistic where global and Indian views merge. That said, India has managed its rise far better so far than the other ambitious player in Asia, China, whose unfavorability far outstrips India's in the median, 67% to 34%, driven doubtless by its hegemonic designs. Overall, India has done well in creating a situation that facilitates its emergence, and its diplomatic efforts have been successful in making more friends than foes. That's no mean achievement for a country with great power aspirations.